log on to Wattpad every month with a brand new story idea that you are super excited for. You write it for about 2 weeks, and by the end of that 2 weeks, you are so tired of it that you completely abandon it and unpublish it until next month when you come back with a new story idea and you start the cycle all over again. Stop it. Get some help. Hello fresties, welcome back to another Wattpad Wednesday video. This week we are talking all about how to stick with a Wattpad story and not abandon it and not start a new one 2 weeks later. How to stick with a Wattpad story and finish it and feel proud of it when it is done. If you've seen my other videos, then you know that I have been on Wattpad for 8 years, but I only finished my first story 4 years ago. That's because on my old account, I was not doing the most important thing that I think there is to do when it comes to trying to finish a story, and that is plotting. Plotting, my love. My best advice for you when it comes to finishing a story is to plot out the whole thing. Or if you are not so much of a plotter and you're more of a pantser or somewhere in between as a plantster, then I would say at least plot out the beginning, the middle, and the end of your story so that you know a general idea of where you are going. If you have a beginning, a middle, and an end at the very least, then you know where your characters are going to end up. You know the things that need to happen to get them there. So if you're going into a story and all you have is that general idea or premise that you are so excited for, sometimes all it takes is one day where you just sit down and you're like, okay, we are figuring this out. Not only is this going to make it easier for you to finish your story, but it's going to make it easier for you to display the growth of your characters. My second piece of advice is going to be sort of weird to some people because I know that this is not exactly the Wattpad experience that a lot of writers are looking for, but I would say finish writing the entire book before you ever start posting it. Just finish that manuscript and then devise a schedule for yourself and start publishing it. I think that one of the reasons why people abandon their stories is because they start posting it and they do not see the immediate reaction that they were hoping for. They get discouraged and they just quit. And that story will never see the light of day in its completion because they did not get the numbers that they were hoping for right away. If you write your whole story before it ever is uploaded onto Wattpad, you completely avoid that chance for disappointment, and you already have this completed manuscript, so you're just gonna post the whole thing whether or not people are reading it, and you're really gonna give it that chance that it needs to actually bring in those numbers someday. Not only are you avoiding the disappointment of not, blowing up and going viral overnight, but you are also avoiding the chance for conflicting opinions. If you have not completed your story and you're just uploading it to Wattpad as you go, and you gain a readership that are active in the comments, chances are you are going to see comments that stray your mind from where you originally wanted your story to go. Commenters could hate a certain character and you could be influenced to change them in a way that you really weren't looking to change them just because you want to please your readers. It can just warp your story in ways that you didn't want it to go. So if you have your story already written, you are avoiding the chances of this, and if you get ideas from your readers that you end up liking, you can always go and edit them in the future. But by completing your story before you ever give it to Wattpad, you are eliminating the chance of disappointment and conflicting opinions ruining your vibes for the story, You don't want to let that excitement get snuffed out just because you're not seeing the growth or you're seeing some opinions that you aren't so excited about. My third tip is to write what you really want to write. If you want to write a detective mystery that takes place in space and you've got aliens but there's also a romantic subplot, write that. If you think it's not going to get any reads, ignore it. Just write it. If you are writing something that you are not passionate about, that you have no interest in writing, you are going to abandon it because you're not going to be having any fun. If you write that thing that I already forget what I said, detective mystery in space, if you write that and you are passionate about it, people who want that are going to find it and they're going to be able to sense your passion. To put it plainly, don't write what you think other people want to read, write what you want to write.
Exactly.
My next piece of advice is to keep it simple. By that, I mean if you are new to writing or you're trying out a genre that you haven't tried before, don't try to write the world's most complex plot right off the bat, because chances are your brain is going to get a little exhausted and you're probably going to abandon it just out of fear of not being good enough, or because you've realized that you've taken on too much. And in that same respect, I think the reason why a lot of authors abandon their stories on Wattpad is because they're so worried about getting it perfect. Don't worry about getting it perfect, just worry about getting it done. You can go back and edit it later. There's that saying, you can't edit a blank page. My last tip is, for those of you who do not want to pre-write and just want to write as you go on Wattpad, I would say give yourself a very, very strict upload schedule. Say that you're going to upload on a certain day, every Friday, every other Friday, whatever it is, and hold yourself to that. This will keep you on track and will push you to write more and keep you motivated, because you always know that that deadline is approaching and you need to have the next chapter ready by that day. If you let yourself slip on this once, you'll let yourself slip on it again and again. I know this from personal experience, and it's the reason why I prefer to write everything before I ever publish it, because some of us are not so good at being strict with ourselves. If you don't have an update schedule, it is really easy to let yourself slack off and just let your story kind of fall by the wayside, and before you know it, maybe 2 months have gone by and you haven't updated. You don't even remember where you were in the story, you don't remember how to get into that voice of the character that you were writing for, and you end up figuring it's just better to maybe start a different project that you want to work on. The passion has faded, it's gone, and you just end up taking it down. But upload schedules really prevent that from happening, so I would definitely recommend giving yourself one. And bonus effect, it'll keep your readers very happy. So those are my best tips for... what am I talking about? So those are my best tips for sticking with a Wattpad story and not abandoning it, not leaving your readers hanging, not, unpublishing a story every month and coming back with something new the next. Just sticking with one story all the way through and keeping your readers very happy. I hope these tips helped you. If they did, please feel free to give this video a like, and I hope that I will see you in the next Wattpad Wednesday. Let me know what you guys want to see, what topics you want me to cover, and thank you, as always, so much for watching.